Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Thursday, August 12th, 2021. A whole lot is going on. A whole lot is going on. I will, for the most part, spare the pleasantries at the beginning of this. I will first just say that I was very thankful that you all tuned in to the live stream the other day, and then the one before that. I can always count on you guys to jump in there and start going back and forth in conversation, which really is what we need at this point in time. We need people to converse, and we need people to talk to each other, their neighbors, their family, get them to understand the gravity of the situation that we currently find ourselves in and for the past 18 months. People need to understand that this is the new world order. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in, and then we can all talk back and forth afterwards in the comments. I always look forward to that. I always look forward to reading your comments. If I don't react to your comment, it is because your comment is being hidden from me. That's why I like to go down through and I like to heart every single comment after I read them, because then it shows me, when people are like, oh, I commented on the last one and this and that, and I know whose comments are being hidden and whose are not. So if you commented and I did not react to your comment, please try to comment again and let me know after like 2 or 3 days. It shouldn't even take that long. I usually get to it like immediately almost, because I look forward to reading everybody's comments, of course. So I'm trying to find out how many comments are actually being hidden from me. I got this one lined up first. This is pretty important. I actually emailed this to Frank sent it to me yesterday, and then I emailed it to a bunch of people, and one of them being Richie from Boston, actually. I emailed it to him, and then he emailed back and pretty much was just like, good catch, and then he told his people about it. He's got a bigger reach than I do, so that's perfect. And you guys need to get this out to everybody. Everybody. This is very important. I'm just going to jump right into it. Inovio focused on launching global C19 trial next month. CEO. August 10th, Reuters. Inovio Pharmaceuticals is focused on launching the global late-stage trial of its C19 mark candidate next month. Chief Executive Joseph Kim said in a call with the drug developer, expecting trial data in the first half of next year. In May, Inovio said it would begin the study of INO 4800 in summer this year, after the mark candidate was found to be safe, as well as well tolerated, and produced an immune response against the new coronavirus in a mid-stage clinical trial. The company started developing INO 4800 last year, but fell behind rivals after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration put a part of the U.S. study on hold. For more information on the mark delivery device. That's important. That's important. Do you remember the Times of Israel article from last year where it said, the medication is injected under the skin with a needle, allowing the DNA to penetrate the body's cells to carry out its mission? Right? Oh, I forgot a part. I'm sorry, I butchered that. The medication is injected under the skin using a needle and activated with the device, similar to a toothbrush, delivering an electrical impulse for a fraction of a second, allowing the DNA to penetrate the body's cells and carry out its mission. That's what it said. Well, the FDA's decision was followed by the U.S. government pulling funding for the late-stage study, citing the fast-moving environment of the mark development. Global trial will initially focus on Latin America, Asia Pacific regions, and Africa, the company said. Well, of course, they always test them on other countries, especially those countries. And we all know why. I don't have to sit here and say why they are doing that. Quote, we were initially focusing on Latin America and Asia Pacific, but looking at the rapidly changing mark rates and the virus epidemiology. We are including regions in Africa, a company executive said during post-earnings call on Monday. Inovio, which has no approved drug on the market, has so far received about $85 million in combined funding from the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the U.S. Department of Defense for the advancement and manufacture of INO 4800. Do you understand what that means? Department of Defense. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're really just coming out and telling us exactly what they're doing, and nobody is seeing it. Earlier this year, Inovio expanded a partnership with China's Advaccine Biopharmaceuticals to conduct a late-stage trial under the expanded deal. The companies expect to equally share its total cost. China's medical product regulator has approved 2 ADMARC. I keep wanting to say the actual word, but I gotta watch because videos are just getting pulled down for nothing. Literally nothing. Oh, you stupid pop-ups. Sponsored clinical trials to study the safety and ability to elicit immune response of the combined use of INO 4800 and a mark from China's Sinovac Biotech, Inovio said in a press release. Biotech. Sinovac Biotech. People really need to understand what is going on here and the gravity of this alone. I shouldn't even have to say anything else on this. And I would have brought up the entire Times of Israel article, but they would have flagged this video and taken it down for that, if they don't take it down for this. So, yeah, do with that information whatever you want, but please, oh please, spread it around. I will link this in the description box below. Moving on. All right, here we are over at Fox News. You know, the right side of the propaganda arm of the U.S. government. Fauci, allowing virus to replicate could make worse variant that could impact the vaccinated. All right. Fauci also predicted full authorization for current marks, hopefully in August. So, before the end of this month. So they're already coming out and saying that it could impact the people that are, marked. And of course, they'll blame the people that are unmarked, and it'll be a whole thing, and it'll just push us deeper and deeper into all that propaganda. Dr. A.F. will say, so we don't have to say his name too many times, has warned that allowing the C Delta V to circulate freely among unmarked individuals could lead to a more potent variant that could harm even marked individuals. This is how they play divide and conquer. Right here. This is how they play divide and conquer, literally right here. And they're just going to keep going with it because that's where we are at this point in time. The Delta variant has already given rise to a small variant known as the Delta Plus. Oh, man. I'm telling you. Let me try this again. The Delta variant has already given rise to a small variant known as the Delta Plus variant that has a spike protein mutation that may cause it to spread faster. Oh, well, funny that they're actually, coming out and saying this now in the mainstream, because I thought the whole spike protein thing was a conspiracy theory, right? So far, the variant has appeared in only a few cases in several countries, but the original Delta variant rapidly spread through the United States and became dominant strain after only a few months. It's funny that they're coming out with this Delta Plus and Delta. Here's my thing. Anytime you see the words Alpha, Delta, whatever else they have, that's military talk. This is a military operation. Anybody in the military will tell you that. I should know. My father's in the military. My stepfather's in the military. I have a few friends in the military. So, yeah. So far, health officials have argued the study, and studies have shown that marked individuals remain protected from serious illness, hospitalization, and death due to current variants of the situation. Dr. A.F. cautioned, however, that unmarked individuals will allow the virus to circulate and continue to mutate, potentially giving rise to a variant that could harm even marked individuals. Quote, there's a tenet that everybody knows in virology. A virus will not mutate unless you allow it to replicate. F told NBC's Chuck Todd on Meet the Press. Fortunately for us, the marks do quite well against Delta, particularly in protecting you from severe disease. But if you give the virus a chance to continue to change, you're leading to a vulnerability that we might get a worse variant. And that will impact not only the unmarked, it will impact the marked because the variant could evade the protection of the mark. Gee. Well, here's something for you. They don't have a test for this so-called Delta variant. And in order to have any kind of actual vaccine against this or any variant, first of all, they would have to isolate the original virus, which we all know what happened there. Then, not only that, they would have to also isolate this variant in order to actually create a real, if this was all real and all of that. So, look at me. I know that. I'm some 27-year-old from Ohio, and I read enough to understand that. But these people bank on just telling people whatever. We know that. Experts said, right? Who are we to question the experts? Who are we to question the experts? Oh, you think you know that? Well, the experts told me this. Come on. Come on. It's so simple. It doesn't even require that much thought. Really. It don't. Anyway. And of course, they want you to click on this link here. Cassidy disagrees with DeSantis on school mask mandate ban. Still playing divide and conquer. Still Hegelian dialectic. Fauci has urged Americans to mark as soon as they are able to in order to guard against the situation. And he voiced his support for several measures to ensure the nation reaches the appropriate coverage. Full authorization of the current marks may provide the much-needed confidence for Americans who have otherwise remained hesitant to finally get the mark. Quote, I've said it several times that you're not going to see from the federal government mandating vaccines for the country, Fauci said. But I'm almost certain, in fact, I am certain that as soon as FDA fully approves the marks, I hope it will be within the next few weeks. I hope it's within August, the month of August. Okay. Once this FDA approval goes through, and it will, the FDA is right now acting like, oh, we're going to do all of our studies, and we're going to make sure that this is good to go, and trying to give the illusion of transparency, right? Because they have to put on a show for all the sheep, this and that, and even the people who claim that they know what's going on, but don't really know what's going on. Yeah, they got to put on a show, they got to do this, they got to sit there, and yeah, all that goes with that. I don't even have to really explain much of that because everybody here is pretty much on the same page when it comes to understanding how all of this works. Once that FDA approval goes through, you're going to see every single business, every single hospital, every single school, every single government facility, everything. And after all that is said and done, then it'll be police forces, then it'll be the general public. And people have been telling me, oh, Austin, they can't mandate a thing for the general public. Well, I'm going to show you why they think they can, and they will. And they've been doing a lot of things that are unlawful this past 18 months. Because laws don't matter when it comes to these people. They're going forward with this. All national laws are going to be absorbed into the New World laws. So, F, which we will refer to him as, explained that the authorization may also allow businesses, universities, and other such private entities to make... What did I just say? What did I just say? I didn't even read that. What did I just say? Quote, the time has come. The time has come is we've got to go the extra step to get people marked, he added. And that is the end of that. So, they're going to turn it up. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. And people can come on here and they could say, oh, you're fear-mongering and this and that. And you know what? I heard Carol say something the other day. If you watch something and you say that that's fear-mongering and this and that, that is coming from a place of fear within yourself. First of all, I'm telling it like it is. I'm not out here saying like, you know, oh, emergency right now, this and that, like some of these other people do while trying to sell you something. No, I'm literally just, you've never seen an ad on my video, any of my videos. And if you say you have, you're lying. So, there's that. Let's move on. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, okay? I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to bring in, you know, this stuff, and then we'll go back to the, you know, situation that they're saying, because if you put too much, well, those of you who don't make videos, you wouldn't understand, but if you put, like, too many things in a row, like, if I do nothing but talk about the current situation, then that is a greater chance that they will flag this video. And even though they wiped my third backup completely and took one of my videos down I got a warning for, which means that I'm up for a strike, I haven't been doing too bad skirting the algorithm there. So I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing here, and hopefully we can still get around that, and I can, you know, be able to provide you with the information that you need to know so that you can, you know, prepare or whatever it is you're going to do with this information. Check this out. IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, wants to be part of world's transition to a digital economy. Well, of course they do. Who do you think's going to be in charge of it? They don't want to be part of it. Come on. This is going to be the one world currency. And, you know, they already got the patent for that. You know, the cryptocurrency system using body activity data. WO 2020-060606. Yeah. The International Monetary Fund says it has a mandate to help countries around the world adopt and adapt to digital currencies, but only if the digital money is in the public interest, which Bitcoin is not, according to an IMF report published yesterday. All right. Fast facts. Yeah, whatever. While the IMF recognizes the potential benefits of digital currency technology, adoption should not be undertaken at the expense of economic stability. The IMF said in a statement, quote, "We must look beyond the dazzle of technology and the alluring image of futuristic payment services. At the IMF, we must identify and help countries solve the deeper policy trade-offs and challenges that are arising." It's all leading to one world. Quote, "Digital money must be designed, regulated, and provided so that governments maintain control over monetary policy to stabilize prices and over capital flows to stabilize exchange rates," the report said. "These policies require expert judgment and discretion and must be taken in the interest of the public." The report discusses different forms of digital currencies, including central bank digital currencies and stablecoins. and outlined the cost benefits of each. But it had a damning assessment of private cryptocurrencies like the world's currently most popular one, saying, the least stable of the lot, which hardly qualify as money, are crypto assets, such as Bitcoin, that are unbacked and subject to the whims of market forces. Newsflash. Our current money is unbacked. You can't take your money and go trade it in for gold or silver. And you guys already know how I feel about cryptocurrencies. All of that is going to be consolidated into the one world digital currency. So, according to its most recent data, the IMF expects there are to be at least 110 central bank digital currency projects in some level of development around the world, including China's eCNY Digital Yuan project, which is currently being tested across the nation and scheduled for official launch in time for the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. This is the second report the IMF released recently on the subject of digital economy, following a veiled warning released earlier in the week against any country wishing to follow Salvador's lead in making Bitcoin legal tender. The IMF said it recognized why such a move may be attractive to countries with less stable economies, but said any attempt would be an inadvisable shortcut to improving the economy through other means. Yeah, as in they want to be the ones to control the world currency. Their own language, they tell us what they're doing. Both reports come amid findings from Hong Kong's based cryptocurrency exchange Crypto.com that the number of crypto users around the world grew to 221 million in June, roughly double the number of crypto users in January. So yeah, this is a thing. And I got something else that kind of goes along with this. I mean, if, you know, in the larger plot, it does go along with this, and we're going to go check that out right now. All right, here we are at biometricupdate.com. Florida's government is ready for digital ID, are its populous residents. Florida is piloting biometric digital driver's licenses and IDs. Testing systems and operations, however, might be beside the point. Having for years fed residents a buffet of anti-tech, anti-Big Brother, and anti-Big Government paranoia, Florida state and local politicians pushing the mobile driving license might want to test the vulnerabilities of their safe rooms. Triggered constituents could show up with more than pitchforks and torches. An article on government technology states that the Florida Smart ID app could be ready for mobile phones before year's end. A code or fingerprint, will be needed to access the app, and its only dedicated scanners will be able to verify its legitimacy. A recent law mandated Florida's Motor Vehicle Agency to create a state standard ID that can be presented to law enforcement officers and retailers as a legal document. As with most similar efforts, phones will display a QR or barcode. Sound familiar? It should. French manufacturing conglomerate Thales Group is providing identity management according to government technology. And notice, guys, I want you to notice something in here. When did you start seeing the word government capitalized when not at the beginning of a sentence or referring to government as a when just talking about like, oh, the government of this, the government of that? No, anytime, any article that I've seen recently, there might be some that don't have it, the word government is capitalized, like, you know, like God. And in a lot of cases, God is lowercase. How weird is that? Anyway, anyone ticking boxes for potential flashpoints capable of derailing the program, check for French involvement. Stephen Purdy, a Thales marketing exec, quoted by a publication, addressed privacy concerns which cannot be overstated in a red state like Florida. Quote, I would say that the privacy angle is an important angle, Purdy said. Data shared when displaying the code would be controlled by the holder. Few organizations would need all the information, such as biometrics, that a traffic cop needs. Lost devices, according to the state, can be reported to the Motor Vehicle Agency, recognized infrequently as the easiest department to work with, and the app will be remotely and almost instantly wiped. Information posted on the Motor Vehicle Agency site makes no mention of securing personal data managed by the state or its contractor or transaction records. Yeah, because your personal data is never secured. That's literally what they do. They don't ever go out of their way to secure people's private information. If we learned anything in the past decade, it's that these companies and governments will sell your information out. The only difference is, now they stopped pretty much telling you that it would be protected. Moving on. And speaking of crazy propaganda, and I was just wondering when I was reading this the first time, in what world would this actually happen? In what world would this actually be a thing? You ready for this? Funeral of man who died of C-19 is turned into mark-in testing event. How ridiculous is that? A funeral is a very solemn and, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Emotional situation. So what they're saying is that the funeral for this man, they probably went in and they did, their eulogy and whatnot and all this and that. And then they were like, okay, guys, let's set it up. We're going to get the marks here and this and that. How'd they get access to this stuff? What, did they just have all the tests and the marks ready to go? Like, hey, we're having a funeral today, guys, for this guy over here. Yeah, bring him on down. Yeah, just come on. We'll turn it into a whole big thing. A Florida man's last wish before dying of C-19 was to get the mark. To honor his memory, his family is turning his funeral into a mark-in testing event to protect the community against the deadly virus. Yeah, the one that they claim. Okay, let's see. Their own numbers. They say so far about 3 million people worldwide have died from this, is what they're saying. Considering the world's population, 7.5 billion or whatever it is, it's a very small fraction. Way more people die of car accidents, cancer, heart disease. Well, pretty much anything else. That's beside the point, though, I guess. Marquise Davis, 28-year-old business owner and father, died on July 26 from C-19. He was not marked at the time. Marquise's wife, Charnice Davis, described him as a hard worker and loving husband and father who cared after his siblings when his mother died in 2012. She said he started to feel ill in late July and tested positive for the virus the following day. He quarantined at home but got progressively worse. Quote, he was losing his breath just by getting up. I was like, this is not normal. You need extra help, Charnice Davis told ABC News. He was taken to a hospital where he was put on an oxygen machine, as in a ventilator. They won't say that word, though. He was there about 6 days, and finally they said he's not going to make it, Charnice Davis recalled. Despite initially being hesitant to take the mark, Marquise Davis told his wife he wanted to get the mark after he recovered. Okay, in a real world, if you recovered from this, whatever they're saying, if you were from anything, you now have a natural immunity built up to it, right? You had it. Your body recognizes it. You created your own immunity to it. That's the way that these things work. Quote, he was in a hospital. He said, "Bae, I'm going to get the mark when I get out of here." So he was going to get it. I was like, good, I'm so happy you said that, but it's too late, Sharnice Davis said to the local ABC affiliate. Sharnice Davis said their church, Faith Temple Christian Center in Rockledge, approached her about offering the mark and C19 testing at his wake and memorial. She was immediately on board. Quote, now we're seeing things completely shift with this Delta variant. Marquise was 28 years old, had the rest of his life in front of him. And because of C19, specifically this Delta variant, and he was not marked, his life was cut short. Dr. R. Sean Ferguson, the pastor of Faith Temple Christian Center, told ABC News. Quote, our position as the church is let's get this cut. Let's do this. I don't want to see another person lose their life, period, he added. The church is partnering with the state to offer the Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson marks. C19 testing will also be available at the event. Oh, Lord. We've been having some crazy weather around here lately, guys. There's been, reports of tornadoes and stuff in my area, and we've never had... you guys saw the one day on the live when I literally had to go because there was a funnel cloud. And I got a good video of one yesterday. I actually might post it on my channel so you guys can see it. And it's getting pretty crazy here right now. It's really moving in. So if there's a tornado, I guess you guys are going to hear me on video going crazy and sitting out in the car and just going for the ride. Turn on some Rio Speedwagon, ride in the storm out. I'm going flying through the air or something, probably get chucked in the river. Ah, well. Let me just get comfortable. Let me light me a cigarette, guys, and we'll continue with the news. But think about this. Think about any one of you. A funeral for somebody that you love that died of whatever. Are you going to take his funeral and turn it into one of these testing and mark events, or are you going to, respect his life and tell his story of his life or whatever, like a normal funeral? I don't know. Sharnice Davis said hosting the mark event at the funeral was sending a message to the community about how dangerous the virus is. Quote, he was so adamant about not getting it. Everything we hear about the mark wasn't always perfect. It's a lot of younger adults my age who don't want to get it or think they won't affect them. But it does affect you. This could have been prevented. So let's get marked so it doesn't happen to you. At least have a fighting chance. Protect yourself. Protect your family. This is nothing to be playing around with, she said. Didn't a report come out literally yesterday or 2 days ago, NBC, where they said that it doesn't matter if you get it or not? I'm gonna have to dig that one up for my next video. I've seen something like that. But we're gonna go ahead and move on from this here because I want to get to some stuff, and there's a big storm coming. All right, guys, here we are. Ready for this? Here we are, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health. Johns Hopkins, Event 201. Can C19 marks be mandatory in the U.S. and who decides? While there is legislative precedent for mark mandates, other strategies could help U.S. states achieve widespread marks for C19. The legal precedent for mandatory marks dates back to a 1905 Supreme Court case after a smallpox outbreak in Massachusetts. This article was from back in 2020, but it goes to show the preemptive moves that they made and preemptive stuff like that before all this started going on. Once a C mark or marks are made available, could states mandate that people get them? The short answer is yes. States have the legal and constitutional authority to require that people who live in that state be marked or introduce a mark mandate. The authority for the state being able to compel marks The affirmation of that authority goes all the way back to a U.S. Supreme Court case in 1905 called Jacobson v. Massachusetts. That case arose in the midst of an outbreak of smallpox in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1902. Cambridge introduced an ordinance requiring all adults to be marked or remarked against smallpox. If they didn't, they would have to pay a fine of $5. Yeah, that was the Supreme Court rule, right? You got to pay $5. And they didn't say like due to inflation will make this, no, they ended it right there. Jacobson was a resident of Cambridge who, for a number of reasons, objected to the mark mandate and brought a lawsuit against Massachusetts for the mandate. He raised a number of arguments, including one that his constitutionally protected liberty interests were being infringed by this mandate. In that case, the Supreme Court said that states have, under their police powers, which is under the Constitution, the authority to enact reasonable. Define reasonable. Regulations as necessary to protect public health, public safety, and the common good. Mark mandates constitute exactly that kind of permissible state action to protect the public's health. Even though it's 115 years old, this continues to be the benchmark case on the state's power to mandate marks. They care about the public's health so much, but there's a McDonald's on every corner. There's cigarettes, which I have no room to talk because I smoke like a chimney, so I can't really say anything about that, but that's my choice, whatever. All these different medications with all these bad side effects, poison and on every turn. They don't care about health. It's not about that. Ever. In response to the argument about this individual liberty interest, the court said that sometimes individual interests might have to yield to state laws that endeavor to protect the community or protect the health of everybody, the common good. The court said, quote, "The rights of the individual may at times, under the pressure of great dangers, be subject to restraint. Such restraint to be enforced by reasonable regulations as the safety of the general public may demand." So yes, once marks are available, states could elect to require that people who live within that state be marked. How might states enforce marking of adults? By and large, our immunization schedule begins as children. We have to show proof of marks to go to school. It's a more complicated administrative manner to have a mark mandate that applies to adults because there isn't a point of common intersection with the state or with some agency of the state the way we have with children. I don't have a clear idea of this. That would be something that states would have to work into a mandate. A requirement that people be marked is only as effective as a way of ensuring that they are. And the whole children going to school thing, this and that, they set all of that up. People used to get mad about that, like we're getting mad now, but then over time, generations, they just didn't care, slowly but surely. We accepted it. And they were laying the foundations way back then because we know that this plan for a new world order is old. Very old. Older than 115. Crazy. That also raises issues that the mark has to be made available without charge or in a way that allows people to get coverage for it if it's not covered by their insurance. Again, how are we able to keep track? Yeah. The other advantage that school-based proof of mark offers is for people who have some medical reason not to be marked. All mark mandates include a medical exemption for people whose health would be imperiled because of an allergy to something in the mark or because they are immunocompromised or any other reason. When you go to school and show your proof of mark certificate or show that you've been exempted and you're not marked, it means that public health offices have a record of who is and who isn't marked. In the event of an outbreak of one of these mark-preventable diseases, we can identify and isolate the people who haven't been vaccinated. Damn it. And who are obviously higher risk of being infected. The goal of a mark campaign is to have as many people as possible marked. The exemptions that you spoke about would keep a number of people from becoming marked. This was an issue with measles in recent years. There were too many exemptions. And that's what caused outbreaks. Is that something we might be up against with C-19? Yes, absolutely. The measles outbreak in New York was about a year or two ago, and in California, it was traced to Disney World in 2014 or 2015. And can't we see now that they're getting rid of these medical exemptions? It's crazy. It's crazy. The reasons for these outbreaks were religious exemptions in New York and personal belief exemptions in California. The legislators of California and New York revoked non-medical exemptions as a result so they could ensure higher rates of people immunized against measles. And guess what? The rate of measles immunizations did go up when those exemptions were removed. Of course they probably were, because people are cowards and they'll listen to the state no matter what they say. So there's that. One of the reasons that non-medical exemptions were introduced in the first place was to try to respond and prevent mark-related backlash. There's a very strong culture in this country and others of personal autonomy, not wanting the government to force you to do something or tell you what to do. Yeah, because that's called being an American. You're supposed to be, protected from that. And if your government or whoever cannot protect you from that, it is up to you and your community to protect all of your autonomy or anything. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. People wanted to be able to make their own decisions about the risks they were willing to take. The introduction of these exemptions, in part, was kind of like a safety valve to let some of the pressure out of the system so people could feel that they had some choice. Yeah, so you could feel that you had some choice, right? They laid the groundwork for all of this a long time ago. When it comes down to it, somebody will be at your door under threat of arrest. Under threat of arrest if you don't get it right then and there. Are you ready for that? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because that's where this is headed. And it's not, oh, maybe this. No, if you just look at the news, look at everything, that is where this is headed. Eventually, they will, be at your door with somebody, maybe a cop, maybe somebody else, who will say, we have yours right here, take it or you're under arrest for endangering the public health. Then what happens? Most people are going to cave. I can tell you that right now. I promise you that. Even awake people, even people that know what's going on, that know what this is, they will cave out of fear. And it's very sad. Although it seems counterintuitive, providing some opt-out mechanism in fact can protect the overall integrity and legitimacy of the mark regime. Interesting choice of words. And public health. Yes, the goal of public health is to ensure that as many people as possible are marked to prevent further transmission of disease. This leaves the question of, how best do we achieve that goal? A mark mandate looks like it's the most straightforward way to do it. But if we have a lot of backlash and resistance to it, how do we then bring those folks on side? Well, how are they doing it now? Divide and conquer, propaganda overload. You're terrible, you're killing people. Right? And it's working. For a lot of people, it's working. One approach might be to start with a strong recommendation and education campaign. Physicians and healthcare providers can be part of this effort to educate people about the safety of marks. A particular issue is that we may face with C-19 mark that does arise with other marks, but not to the same degree, are questions about safety because it's brand new. Measles, mumps, rubella, polio, and smallpox marks have been around for decades, if not longer. They're regarded as safe, and we have decades of data. Yeah, they have decades of data of how terrible these things were. Here comes the rain, guys. It's lightning like crazy. I hope it doesn't overpower my voice on here. I got all my windows up, but I'm trying to... Lord, I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to educate the people. So if you could just kind of give this thing a little push over the river there, that would be great. I know, who am I to ask you to do something like that? And I love storms anyway, so it's actually relaxing. Okay, let's see. So they'll probably have more concerns, even among people who are fully marked against other diseases and who have marked their children. One approach, perhaps, is to start a strong recommendation and being transparent, as drug companies are doing what their best to do, about what they know about safety. Then, once the marks are available, states can make it as easy as possible to get marked. Even in the absence of a mandate, when you're marked, there are public records kept, and they can see what percentage of residents have voluntarily been marked. If the percentage is high enough to ensure that the whole community is protected, there wouldn't be a need for a mandate. Can private employers mandate a mark? They can, and they have. And I will add to that, and they will, and that's how it's going to be. It's very common in particular sectors. The employer has to have a reasonable basis. Again, there's that word, define reasonable. All they got to do is say, oh, it's for the public health. That's it. If you worked in retail, I'm not sure a corporate entity could require that. They may want you to recommend it, but it wouldn't be reasonably related to the requirements of their job. But in sectors in which the employees are themselves at greater risk of contracting mark-preventable illnesses, or who work with populations that are especially vulnerable if they do get sick, like hospital workers, healthcare workers, and people who work in long-term care facilities, employers have required that their staff be marked against the flu each year. And they're acting like this is just, they always act like this is just the same as all the other ones. Even though, no, it's not. There is a biometric digital aspect to this. A technological aspect to this. It's crazy. It's literally insane. And I wish I could just go off. You know what? I got enough things on here to do a good Odyssey video where I could just lay it all out. Everything I have on the thing. I think I might do that. I think my next video that I would do for here, I think I might put it on Odyssey and then make a video, tell you guys to go over there and watch it. So you can hear some unfiltered Austin from Ohio, baby. Oh yeah, and I sent so much to my brother, my dad, everybody. Because my dad's still currently, active in the military. And I'm really trying to talk him out of getting that thing. But he's worried, he said, I don't want it, but I'll lose my retirement. And I said, Dad, you have to be willing to give stuff up. You have to be willing to give that up. I understand. Trust me, I get it. I get it. Do you think I'm going to want to give up my job whenever they go to mandate this thing? Of course not. Of course not. But will I? Oh, yes. Wow, that lightning strike was on the river. You guys hear that? My windows are down. Now they're... Holy... Jeez. Anyway. Let's see. Another thing states could do, short of requirement across the board that everybody be marked, they could be given the mandate that focuses on those sectors, people who are themselves greater risk or who work in the proximity to vulnerable populations. We don't want the employees themselves getting sick or being a bridge or a vector to infecting others who are vulnerable. People may object, but some more targeted form of mark mandate may make sense and also be possible. So yes, you already know what they're going to do. You already know how this is going to play out. We all do. We all knew this was coming. Literally, we seen it as it was being laid out. We seen it. We called it out, and we were right. No other way to put it. No other way to put it. And I'm telling you, once this authorization goes through, you're really going to see it. They already told us. They already told us. Moving on. Rain's picking up. Alright guys, this is actually the last article I'm going to bring up. One, because listen. Oh yeah, it's really coming down. And two, because I'm actually getting to this late, I wanted to bring up the one about all the FEMA camps and known ones and operational ones, but I'm probably not going to be able to get to that one tonight. I still got to eat and stuff and whatnot. But, okay, so, COVID, climate change, and the Great Reset. A cover and solution to the West failing financial system. I really hope that you guys can hear my voice over this crazy rain. I hope it's not annoying. Come on, I just want to talk. Okay. World Economic Forum's Great Reset has been sold to the public as an opportunity to build a sustainable, carbon-neutral future. The ubiquitous soundbite of a Build Back Better or Build Back Greener, as UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson recently rephrased it, suggests that recovery from economic devastation following the alleged situation is a chance for the world to reset. Okay, hold on. You know what, guys? This rain is not going to stop anytime soon. I just sat here for about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to have to power through it, and I'm sorry if it's overbearing, and I really apologize for that. But I really hope that you can hear me and that this is all just good. Anyway, so Ian Davis, UK column, Sunday, 25th July 2021 said, he said, by 2020, substantially increased the number of cities and human settlements, they meant 2030. Sustainable Development Goal 11 of the UN Agenda 2030 states, never mind, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Sustainable Development Goal number 11 of the UN Agenda 2030. By 2020, substantially increased the number of cities and human settlements adopting and implementing integrated policies and plans toward adaptation to climate change, resilience to disasters, and and implement in line with the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, 2015 to 2030, holistic disaster risk management at all levels. Okay, it seems like it's starting to calm down a little bit, but not much. It's crazy here. It's crazy here, folks. It really is. So I'm just going to keep on moving, alright? Okay, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, written in 2015, states, recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction phase, which needs to be prepared ahead of disaster, is a critical opportunity to build back better. Where do you think Joe Biden got that slogan? You think he made it up? Oh no, his handlers made that up for him. This is where he got it. With the 2020 emergence of the alleged global situation, human settlements have certainly been implementing plans, fitting in perfectly with Agenda 2030. Our leaders' efforts to build back better are focused upon a recovery which appears to have been planned long before anyone had even heard of SARS-CoV-2. A vision for the future. The World Business Council for Sustainable Development published their Vision 2050 document in 2010, aiming to transform the global economy to meet sustainable development goals. They said that a pathway would be needed. It will require fundamental changes in governance structures, economic frameworks, business, and human behavior. They envisaged two distinct periods of transformation. The WBCSD, an organization of the 200 CEOs of some of the world's largest global corporations, it's in the hub for more than 60 national and regional business councils and partner organizations including the United Nations, EU Commission, World Economic Forum, World Bank, World Health Organization, World Wildlife Fund, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Ford Foundation, and BlackRock. I apologize for this crazy rain. I did not know it was going to be like this. It's annoying to me, and I really hope it's not coming through like that annoying to you guys. I mean, listen to it. This is crazy. I've done videos in the rain before. It's never been like this. They called the decade between 2010 and 2020 the turbulent teens. This would be the time to construct the mechanisms that would enable the fundamental changes to be established. Transformation time would start in 2020. Once the fundamental changes have been able to mature into consistent knowledge, behavior, and solutions. Weird, right? Changes were to start in 2020. In their conclusion, WBCSD suggested how the process of moving from turbulent teens and the transformation time could occur. Crisis, opportunity. It's a business cliche, but there is truth in it. While for many of us, 2020 was a disaster. WBCSD were among the central planners of the new normal global economy, for whom the global situation could not have arrived at a more opportune moment. It was a remarkable coincidence that the right crisis opportunity arrived precisely on schedule in 2020. They updated their Vision 2050, recognizing the time to transform had arrived. It said despite its enormous human and financial cost, the situation has created an opportunity to drive and accelerate change at a completely different pace than we may have previously imagined to be possible. That takes me back to the David Rockefeller quote. All we need is the right major crisis and the nations will accept the new world order. Here it is. Literally, here it is. Although they did imagine exactly this possibility, WBSCD partners, the WEF, have also been counting their lucky stars. The C-19 alleged situation was an opportunity to make the significant socioeconomic and political changes they had long been hoping for. The situation, while the C-19 crisis, political, economic, and social disruptions it has caused, is fundamentally changing the traditional context for decision-making. As we enter a unique window of opportunity to shape the recovery, this initiative will inform those determining the future state of global relations, the direction of national economies, the priorities of societies, the nature of business models, and the management of a global commons. What does that sound like? Literally, what's it sound like? A global commons. Communism on a world scale. In his 2021 letter to CEOs, Larry Fink, chairman of BlackRock, also expressed his gratitude for BlackRock's good fortune as he expanded on the unprecedented opportunity presented by C-19. Quote, the situation has presented such an existential crisis that it has driven us to confront the global threat of climate change more forcefully. Markets started to price climate risk into the value of securities. Then the situation took hold, and the reallocation of capital accelerated even faster. I believe that this is the beginning of a long but rapidly accelerating transition, one that will unfold over many years and reshape asset prices of every type. The climate transition presents a historic investment opportunity. Fink's comments outline how the Build Back Better Great Reset is intended to work. Some people seem to think that sustainable development has got something to do with environmentalism, saving the planet. Well, they're using that terminology, but plain, or some other vague green agenda. Unfortunately, they are way off the mark. Corporate glue. Sustainable development means stakeholder capitalism as the corporate glue holding together a global network of public-private partnerships who are collectively assuming the mantle of world governors. I'm just going to say world because I really don't like saying whatever. Under their stewardship, the International Monetary and Financial System, IMFS, is being transformed. The stakeholder partner network is busy capitalizing a $120 trillion carbon bond market as the foundation of the new IMFS. $120 trillion, imagine that. Environmentalist campaigners like Greta Thunberg and Extinction Rebellion perhaps imagine they are in the vanguard of a world environmentalist battle against climate change and big polluters who are guilty of causing it. In reality, unwittingly or not, they are image leaders for the big polluters' public relations department. Heh, good one. The same despite world corporations are key members of the World Public-Private Partnership, which is using the ruse of climate change to establish the new IMFS, one that will consolidate their world economic power and thus their worldwide authority. Yes, new world order, one world government, one world military, one world financial system, one world religion. Not only did the claimed world pandemic deliver the right crisis at precisely the right time, another truly remarkable coincidence, it accustomed us to the behavior changes required to live in our new, sustainable IMFS. Reduced travel, limited access to resources, low employment, austerity, reliance upon state financial support, and new forms of currency based upon sustainable stakeholder metrics are all part of our planned net zero future. WF partners Deutsche Bank are certainly among the world corporations who are aware of this. They published an article in the November 2020 when their senior analyst, Eric Heyman, outlined carbon neutral economy portends. Oh man, I only have an hour and 12 minutes open. I wasn't expecting to go this long, so I'll go for a couple more minutes. And the first thing I will bring up when I clear more space, I will bring this up in a part 2. The impact of the current climate policy on people's everyday lives is still quite abstract. Climate policy comes in the form of higher taxes, fees on energy. If we really want to achieve climate neutrality, we need to change our behavior in all these areas of life. A major turnaround in climate policy will certainly produce losers among both households and corporates. In addition, prosperity and employment are likely to suffer considerably. There are no adequate cost-effective technologies yet to allow us to maintain our living standards in a carbon-neutral way. That means that carbon prices will have to rise considerably in order to nudge people to change their behavior. Another, or perhaps supplementary option, is to tighten regulatory law considerably. To what extent we may be willing to accept some kind of eco-dictatorship in the form of regulatory law in order to move toward climate neutrality. This is congruent with the observations of both the former and current Bank of England governors. Prior to his departure as governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney warned companies unable to meet the SDG regulatory standards will go bankrupt without question. In other words, lines of credit without which even multinational corporations cannot hope to function will be limited only to those who can afford to implement the required changes. Yeah. As in, you don't toe the line, your ass is out of here. More recently, now as the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance, the UK government Special Advisor to the COP26 conference, and the board trustee of the World Economic Forum, Carney reinforced his message and signaled stakeholder partners how the new IMFS would select the corporate winners and losers. There will be industries, sectors, and firms that do very well during this process because they will be part of the solution. But there will also be ones that lag behind and they will be punished. Worldwide control. Let me just start skipping down through here. We'll go back through it and we'll do what we got to do. I literally only have an hour and 12 minutes to record. The transition to net zero brings substantial new opportunities for employment, with 14 million jobs created by 2030. In our pathway, around 5 million jobs are lost, meaning structural changes can cause shocks for communities with impacts that persist over time. This requires careful policy attention to address the employment losses. It will be vital to minimize hardships associated with these disruptions, locating new clean energy facilities in heavily affected areas wherever possible, and providing regional aid. We'll go back to this part. Let's see. Those workers performing tasks which automation can't yet crack become more pivotal. This means creativity, innovation, imagination, and design skills will be prioritized by employers. This view is supported by business leaders worldwide who respond to the most recent CEO survey. These are pivotal people. It seems there will be a meager employment opportunities for the rest of us in our sustainable future. The few remaining jobs will be limited solely to those tasks that cannot be performed by automation or artificial intelligence. Only extraordinary people with skills suited to the corporate stakeholders will be of any value. There are many reasons to place considerable credibility in the 2013 study by Oxford University researchers, which predicted that 47% of all jobs will be lost. That's the point. Got to get rid of everything that won't toe the line with the New World Order. I can't believe they're going this way. Royal Institute of International Affairs considered what this new carbon future will mean for us. The ordinary folk, again in 2018, the RIIA commissioned the Royal Society, who conducted a review of the available literature on the impact of artificial intelligence and automation. They found a distinct lack of research assessing the implications for us as individuals. They found the evidence shows that the use of digital technology in work is linked with increasing polarization of work between jobs mainly performed by workers with low levels of formal education, low educated, and jobs performed by high educated workers. Individual losses from displacement related to automation have not yet been estimated, but a broader literature suggests that these losses can be significant and persistent. This may lead to significant increases in inequality, particularly if employers have significant market power. Let's see. Unprecedented economic response. Mark Carney, then BOE governor, participated in the G7 Central Bankers Symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 4 months before the first cases of C-19 were reported. At that meeting, the largest investment management firm in the world, BlackRock, presented their report titled Dealing with the Next Downturn. Gathered central bankers, BlackRock stated, unprecedented policies will be needed to respond to the next economic downturn. Monetary policy is almost exhausted as global world interest rates plunge toward zero or below. Fiscal policy on its own will struggle to provide major stimulus in a timely fashion given high debt levels and the typical lags with implementation. Keep going. Conventional and unconventional monetary policy works primarily through the stimulative impact of lower short-term and long-term interest rates. This channel almost tapped out. Yes. Okay, fiscal policy, which is government spending and taxation, wouldn't be able to respond to a significant downturn because government debt was off the charts. As planned, the lack of activity in the productive economy meant tax increases would be insufficient to respond to a major financial crash. Similarly, monetary policy creating money, well, out of thin air, right, guys, was tapped out because interbank lending and associated bond markets were close to implosion. There was a sense of urgency among the G7 bankers as revealed by Mark Carney in August 2019. Speaking at Jackson Hole Symposium, he said, most fundamentally, a destabilizing asymmetry at the heart of the IMFS is growing. A multipolar world economy requires a new IMFS to realize its full potential. That won't be easy. History teaches that the transition to a new world reserve currency may not proceed smoothly. Technological developments provide for the potential for such a world to emerge. The Bank of England have been clear. The terms of engagement for any new systemic private payment system must be enforced well in advance of any launch, perhaps through a network of central bank digital currencies. That's where these come in, guys. See, it's not just about, like, I can't even really go into it right now. I gotta hurry up and get through just this little bit. The deficiencies of the IMFS have become increasingly potent. Even a passing acquaintance with monetary history suggests that this center won't hold. I will close by adding urgency to Ben Bernanke's challenge. Let's end the malign neglect of the IMFS and build a system worthy of the diverse multipolar world economy that is emerging. I'm going to stop here for now because I'm running out of time. I got like 4 minutes left on this, and I need to clear up a lot of space. But yes, we'll pick it up here for the part 2 of this, which will be the first part of the next video. But you can already see, and I will link this, you can already see exactly what the plan is. This is all the evidence anybody would need. Oh, and it gets into it, guys. Trust me. Trust me. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.